Hello and welcome to our channel. Today I'm sharing a beautiful story with a powerful lesson, The Stag and His Reflection. Get comfortable, relax, and let yourself be taken into this tale full of nature and wisdom. Let's begin. The Stag and His Reflection. In a vast, sunlit valley surrounded by gentle hills and blanketed with green grass and wildflowers, there lived a young stag. He was a graceful animal, with alert eyes that sparkled like morning dew in a sleek, chestnut-brown coat that shimmered in the sunlight. Every day, he wandered freely through the meadows, nibbling on tender shoots, sniffing blossoms, and listening to the songs of birds. One warm spring morning, the stag awoke early. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and damp earth. He moved slowly through the glades, his hooves barely making a sound as he followed a small stream downhill. As he walked, he noticed a small pond tucked away between reeds and daisies. Drawn by curiosity and the peaceful atmosphere, he stepped carefully to the pond's edge. As he leaned over to take a sip of the cool water, he saw something unexpected: his reflection. For a moment, he stared, surprised by how clearly he could see himself. The morning sun lit the surface perfectly, turning the pond into a mirror. "Wow," he whispered. "I never realized. My antlers are magnificent." And indeed they were. His antlers were tall and branching like the limbs of ancient trees. They stood proudly atop his head, and the stag couldn't help but admire their strength and elegance. He turned slightly, adjusting his pose, striking what he thought was a noble stance. He looked again into the water, studying himself like an artist admiring a masterpiece. "With antlers like these," he thought, "I look like the king of the forest." But then his gaze shifted downward, to his legs. Long, thin, and a bit bony, they didn't match the grandeur of his antlers. "They look so weak," he muttered. "If only they were as strong and impressive as my antlers, then I'd be perfect. Who would dare challenge me?" And so the stag stood there for quite a while, mesmerized by his reflection, filled with pride about one part of himself and disappointment about another. But nature didn't pause with him. Birds flew overhead, insects buzzed through the reeds, and far off in the distance a branch snapped. The sound jolted the stag back to reality. He froze, ears twitching, nose lifted. Then the wind carried a scent to him, one that made his heart race. Human. He turned his head slowly. Between the trees, he spotted a figure moving silently, a hunter, bow in hand, an arrow ready to be loosed. Without hesitation, the stag leapt away from the pond and took off across the meadow. His thin legs, which moments before he had judged so harshly, now moved with incredible speed. He bounded over rocks, darted around bushes, and sprinted with all his strength. Faster! Faster! He told himself, his heart thundering in his chest. The very legs he had considered a flaw were now his salvation. They carried him farther and farther from the hunter, putting distance between him and danger. But in his panic, he made a critical mistake. He darted into a dense part of the forest where the trees grew close and the underbrush tangled thickly beneath them. As he rushed through the woods, his proud antlers caught on low branches. A sharp tug pulled him backward, and suddenly he was stuck. The branches twisted around his antlers like fingers gripping tightly. He jerked his head and pushed forward, but it was no use. His antlers were too large, too entangled. Breathing hard, eyes wide with fear, the stag looked around. The hunter was getting closer. Then, in that terrifying moment, the stag understood. "How foolish I was," he thought. "I was so proud of these antlers, and now they are what traps me. I looked down on my legs, but they gave me speed and freedom. I overvalued what was beautiful and underestimated what was useful." The hunter stepped closer, arrow raised. And in the stillness that followed, the stag learned a lesson that came too late. Moral: don't be fooled by appearances. What seems less important might be what truly helps you in life. True value lies not always in beauty, but in purpose. Thank you for listening to The Stag and His Reflection. We hope you enjoyed the story and take its valuable lesson with you. If you liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. See you next time.